What if you could build your own AI voice agent, fully customized for your business, and do it all for free in just a few minutes? In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create a real-time voice assistant using Vappy, and we're going to vibe code everything from scratch using Cursor, the AI code editor. I'll show you how to build a web server using JavaScript and Node.js, and then we'll use ngrok to expose our local server to the internet so that our voice agent can work from anywhere in the world. When I say vibe code, I don't mean your typical one-shot prompt spray and pray method to build an app, which breaks the minute something goes wrong and you don't know how to fix it. I'm going to show you how I vibe code with AI in a way that actually works, where you stay in control, you understand what's going on with each line of code, and we learn as we go. So when something breaks, we know how to fix it.
Hi, welcome to our shop. How can I help you?
Hi, yeah, could I check on an order?
Of course. Could you please provide me with your 4-digit order number?
Yeah, the order number is 1003.
Thank you. Just to confirm, your order number is 1003. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Give me a moment. I have the information for your order. Name associated with the order, Karen Smith. Order number 1003. Order status, waiting to be shipped. Is there anything else I can assist you with today?
No, that's it. Thanks.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
So that's what we're going to build, an AI voice assistant that answers customers' questions and checks on the status of their orders. Now, you're going to want to have a few things already installed before we get started. The first thing is we're going to be using Vappy. This handles the real-time AI voice. You're going to want to create an account and log into that. The next thing you're going to want to do is install Node.js. This is going to be our backend server that handles the API requests. The next thing you're going to want to do is download Cursor, the AI code editor. All of these apps are free and you don't need any experience to follow along. Let's dive in. The first thing we're going to do is go to vappy.ai and we're going to create an account if you haven't already and go to the dashboard. The dashboard should look something like this. It's got all of your call data. And what we're going to do is go over here to assistants. And we'll go ahead and create a new assistant. We'll call this order checking assistant. We'll use the blank template and create assistant. And here we've got all of the settings to configure the AI voice agent. So the first thing we're going to do is check the model. We're going to be using OpenAI, and we'll use GPT-4o cluster for now. And the assistant speaks first when the phone is answered. And just for starting out, we'll put a simple opening line here. This is what the assistant will say when it picks up the phone. And for now, we'll just put a simple prompt just to get started. So we'll say, you are for the temperature, I like to take this and turn it down a little bit, especially when I'm developing. The higher the temperature, the more creative and sort of wild the responses can be. And so I like to minimize this and make it more consistent when I'm developing so that I can better isolate and troubleshoot issues. So we'll turn this down to 0.2. And for the voice configuration, we'll use Vappy with the Elliott voice for now. For the transcriber, we can use DeepGram. And for tools, we don't have anything now, but we will come back to this later when we make our API call. And that's all we need for getting started. We'll go ahead and hit publish. And let's go ahead and give our assistant a little test call here.
Hi, welcome to our shop. How can I help you today?
Hi, yeah, can I check on an order?
Of course. I'd be happy to help you with that. Could you please provide me with your order number or any other details related to your order?
Yeah, the order is 1001.
Thank you for providing the order number. Let me check the details for order 1001. Could you please confirm the name or email address associated with the order
So that's all it's going to do for now because we don't actually have it making any API calls to our server. So what we want this to do is we want the assistant to collect the order number from the user. And then once they have that order number, make an API request to our node server to check on the order data. So let's go ahead and add a little bit more detail to this prompt just to make it super clear to the assistant what needs to happen. Okay, so we're going to say here, if a user wants to check on their order, first collect their 4-digit order number, then use check orders to check on the order information. So check orders, we haven't created this, but this is a function that we're going to create next that the voice assistant uses to make the API request. So the next thing we want to do is go over here to tools, and we're going to create a new tool, and we're going to choose custom tool, and we want to give this a name. So this is what we're going to call check orders. Now the spelling of this is important. This has to match the same thing that's in the assistant prompt. So we'll call this check orders, and you can give it a human readable description, used to check the status of the orders. And we'll leave this as synchronous. So the next thing we want to do is set up the parameters. So what we're going to do is go to add property, and we're going to give this a name, and we'll call this order number. And we'll make this a string and give it another description, the order number. And we'll say required. And we can leave these settings the same. We've created this parameter, which is the variable that we're going to pass in the API request. So it's called order number. It's a string. And this is the order number that the user provides. And then when we make our API call, this order number will be in the JSON body. Next, we have the server settings. And this is important, but we're going to come back to this in a few minutes. Here for HTTP headers, we can go ahead and do content type application JSON. This is just saying that we'll be using JSON in the request. Now that we've got that, we can go ahead and save. And let's go back to our assistant. Let's go ahead and expand on our prompt a little bit to be a little bit more specific. We'll say if the user wants to check on an order, first collect the order number from them, and then use check orders to get the order data. Once the order information is received, inform the user about the status of their order. Okay, so we'll go ahead and publish that to save it. And now we're going to vibe code the server. So I'm going to go over to my terminal, and I'm going to make a new directory for our project, and I'll call this check orders. So we'll cd into that. And then the next thing we want to do, if you haven't already, is go to cursor.com. And then once you've gotten that installed, come back and we'll move forward. So with cursor installed, we're going to go ahead and open up the directory that we're in Cursor. Over here on the right, we have the chat window for the AI. You can toggle that by toggling this pane. And then at the bottom, we have the terminal. So we can toggle that with the middle one. And then over here, we've got the sidebar, which will contain our files. Now, the first thing we want to do when starting a node project is do npm init. npm is the main package manager for Node.js. This is what you use to install different libraries to build the apps. Why don't we use this as an opportunity to do our first vibe coding? Let's go back into Cursor, and over here in the chat window, let's just ask it, how do I install npm? And here you can see the AI is giving us instructions on how to install npm. There's a few different ways to do it. I already have npm installed, but go ahead and get that installed using brew. And the next thing we're going to want to do is create an npm project. Again, we can ask Cursor, how do I create a new npm project? And so you can see here, it gives us the instructions and the commands to do npm init. to create the new project. So I'll jump over to the terminal and do npm init. And here we have to answer a few questions, and you can just hit enter for all of these. You can see here it's created a package.json, and this is essentially the metadata about our project. So I'm not going to ask Cursor about every little step because we'll be sitting here for hours. But I think you get the idea. Anything that you get stuck on, just ask Cursor. It's a really powerful learning tool. And it doesn't just have to generate code. It can show you commands. It can explain concepts. It's really useful. And the other thing to keep in mind is that sometimes it gets things wrong. The last command is to run your development server, do npm run dev. We'll go ahead and run that. And there's an error. Let's go ahead and give this error to Cursor and ask it how to fix it. The way that we share, so we can share the terminal output code with Cursor by doing the @ symbol and then terminals and hit tab. ZSH is our current terminal. Basically what we've said is we're sharing this logging with our chat. And so we can say, hey, I got an error trying to run the server. How can I fix it? Here we go. This is our first line of Vibe code. And you can see that it sees the error and it explains a little bit about why it's happening. And then it gives us the fix. Here it's basically saying the red line, it proposes that we delete that. And the green lines are what we should add. And you want to review this and understand it. Here, this line, it's adding the same thing. Here, it's adding start and dev. So we'll go ahead and accept that. And so now we can go ahead and run npm run dev. The next thing we want to do is create our server. So we'll go ahead and do touch server.js. And so this creates a JS file called server in the root directory. And you can see that over here. And then we're going to go ahead and install Express. And you can see that it's added that to our dependencies. So Express is the package that we use to create the server. And now we can go over to our server, and instead of writing it out by hand, let's ask Cursor what to do. So we'll say, I want to create a simple Express server with hello world. Now, one of the important things about vibe coding is to keep it really short, really simple, really small tasks. It's easy to get into a lot of trouble when you try to do too big of a prompt. So here you can see it has created the code for our server, and this looks good. So we'll go ahead and accept that. And then it looks like there's some edits to package.json. So go ahead and, yeah, this looks good. It's adding nodemon to the dev command, which is okay because like we do want to use that. So we'll go ahead and install that. So we'll go ahead and hit accept. Oh, and then here it has the command for installing nodemon, which is great. So one thing is I like to run the commands myself. I prefer not to run them in the Cursor chat. I believe it eats up credits, and I tend to lose control a little bit. It tends to do things that I don't really follow so easily. And so I like to copy the command and run it myself in terminal. So we can go over here and hit skip. And that's great. It's finished its chat. And then we can tell it, we can say, hey, I will run commands myself from now on. Please just provide the terminal commands so I can copy and paste myself. So this way it'll just show the commands in a way that you can copy and paste them easily. So we can see here to install nodemon for development. Let's go ahead and copy that, come over into terminal. So we're going to run npm install save dev nodemon. We've just installed nodemon, and nodemon is a development tool that we use to keep our server alive. during development so that if there's an error and the server crashes, we catch it right away. Now that we have NodeMon installed, you can see that our dev command should work. So let's try that again. npm run dev. Great. Our server started, and you can see here it's logging. Server is running on localhost 3000, and there's a health check. Over here, you can see that it's running correctly. What's happening here is that we import Express, and then we use that to create our app. We assign it the port. We tell the app to use express.json, which is a middleware for parsing data. Next, we have our Hello World endpoint. Here, it's basically setting up so that app is creating an API endpoint where you can make a GET request, and anyone who makes a GET request to that endpoint will get a JSON response with the message Hello World. Here we have a health check, which is similar, only we're returning a message with a status OK and a timestamp. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that just because we don't need it. And then here is where we start the server. So we start the server by doing app.listen on the port that we assigned it up here, port 3000. And then when the server starts, we're going to console log these messages. We deleted that route. I'll go ahead and delete this comment too. So we've made a couple changes to our file. I'm going to go ahead and save it, and you'll see the server will restart automatically. So I'll go ahead and save, and boom, the server restarts. So that's why NodeMon is really useful, because you can make changes and the server just stays alive. It keeps going. And then we can take out this health line because we're not using that. So now all we're doing is we're running it on localhost 3000. And then if we open this up in the browser, you can see the message printed Hello World. So we're not doing anything on the front end today, so we can just leave that alone. And we can go over here and we can create a new chat. It's good to create a new chat sometimes to clear the memory. And let's just go ahead and tell Cursor what we want to do. We have a VAPI voice assistant that is going to make API request to our node server. Set up a simple endpoint to receive that request. Okay, you can see here it's generating the code, and it's giving some explanation about what it's doing. So it's explaining that it's creating the new endpoint at VAPI/webhook. And you can see here it's creating a post endpoint and a get endpoint, which we can change that. And then it explains some of the key features. And so over in our code, we can see all of the code that Cursor is adding. One of the things that we need to do is be really careful about just blindly accepting what Cursor gives us. And, in this case, we could go through this and edit this manually. I would delete a lot of this stuff. Instead of doing that, I'm going to reject the code changes, and I'm going to change my prompt to be a little bit more specific. So let's say that's close, but it's way too complicated for what I want right now. Please just give the bare minimum code needed to make a simple endpoint where we console log the request body and return a simple hello world, nothing more. So this is one of the things that I like to do is I tell it to only add code that is the bare minimum for what we need, because you can see in that previous code it added all sorts of stuff like switch statements and try catches and things. And right now we're not really there. Later on, it might be useful, but right now we want to keep it as simple as possible. So let's try this. And great, you can see how much shorter that code snippet is. So here it's setting up the post endpoint at VAPI/webhook, and we've got a request and response, and then we're going to console log the VAPI request body. So this is the data that VAPI sends to our server, and then we're going to give it a JSON response with the message hello world. So let's go ahead and accept that. And so the next thing we want to do is go back into VAPI, and we want to go back to our tool, the check orders tool. And if you scroll down here, we saw earlier it has the server settings, and it has this field for the server URL. This is where we put the URL for the server that we want to make the API request to. But the problem here is that we are running our server locally. So this localhost 3000 endpoint isn't available to the internet. So let's go ahead and kill the server. Now this is where ngrok comes in. Ngrok allows our URL that's running locally on our machine to be accessible by services on the internet. It's basically a URL forwarding service. Let's go back into Cursor, and we can clear this chat, and let's just ask it how to install ngrok. And so you can use brew to install ngrok. I'm going to go ahead and skip that. You can also do it with a direct download, or you can use npm. And I personally would recommend using npm. I already have it installed. So once you get that installed, the next thing we want to do is create another terminal window. So if you go down here, you can see here we have this ZSH, which is the current terminal that we have open. If you click on this little plus sign, it'll open up another terminal. And I like to rename these just for clarity. So we can rename this one server. And this is where we will run our server. And remember, we have npm run dev. Dev is the command, which then runs nodemon server.js. So we'll go npm run dev. That starts our server. And then we go to our other terminal tab, and let's go ahead and rename this ngrok. And here, just for testing it out, let's go ngrok http 3000. Here you can see ngrok is starting up, and the thing that you want is this forwarding address here. This is the URL that ngrok is forwarding to the public internet. Let's go ahead and copy this, and we can go back into VAPI, and then here on our check orders server settings, go ahead and drop in that address. And then the other thing that we need to remember is the endpoint that we want to hit is this vapi/webhook. So this is the URL /vapi/webhook. That's the endpoint. So let's go ahead and save that. So when the assistant runs the tool check orders, it's going to send the order number as this variable in the JSON body to this address at the vapi/webhook endpoint. So let's go ahead and give that a test run. We can go back over here into Cursor, and we want to leave ngrok running and then switch back over to our server tab, and we've got our server running, which is great. And then we can see here we have this console log that's going to log the JSON when we hit the endpoint. So now let's go back over to VAPI, and we'll give our assistant a call.
Hi, welcome to our shop. How can I help you today?
Hi, yeah, can I check on an order, please?
Of course. Could you please provide me with your order number?
Yeah, the order number is 1002.
Thanks. Let me check on that order for you. One moment, please. Checking order, Murray's Paladin 2.
Okay, so that didn't work. So let's figure out why. We forgot to do a really important thing, which is you have to scroll down to tools, this tools section, and we have to select the tool that we want our assistant to use. In this case, we want to just select check orders. And now we've made that tool available to our assistant. So we can go back up and give the assistant another call.
Hi, welcome to our shop. How can I help you today?
Can I check on an order, please?
Of course. Could you please provide me with your order number?
Yeah, the order number is 1059.
Give me a moment. It seems I couldn't find any information for order number.
Okay, so the API request failed, but if we go back over to Cursor, you can see all of this data. So this is the JSON data that VAPI sent our server. So that's great. It means that it worked. We got the message. You can see here in the JSON body that VAPI sends, there's all sorts of data. And there's a lot to cover that's maybe too much for this tutorial. But basically what we want to look for is that order number variable that is coming from the tool call. But how do we get that? So why don't we ask Cursor how to find that? So we'll say, I'm looking for a variable called order number buried in the JSON of the request body. How can I console log the full JSON so I can find that variable? So the reason I'm asking this question is because I know that the order number is buried deep in this JSON. When we console log body like this, these objects just show up as objects. There's a lot of information inside of these objects, and that's where our variable lies. So what I'm asking Cursor is, how do we view the JSON that's inside of these objects? Okay, and you can see here, it's given us this line to console log the body, but using this json.stringify. So we'll go ahead and accept that. And now go ahead and clear the terminal, and we can give our assistant another call. I'll try to make this fast.
Hi, welcome to our shop. How can I help you today?
Yeah, can I check on an order?
Of course. Could you please provide me with your order number?
The order number is 1977.
Hold on a sec. It seems I couldn't find any information.
Okay, let's see how we did. Go back to Cursor, and now, okay, so we've logged the body, and you can see that it looks a little different than before. There's a lot more information. All of that JSON has been expanded. So now what we can do is, let's go ahead and copy this JSON, and we'll go over here and make a new file. Call it sampledata.json, and we're going to paste that here. This is just to allow us to inspect the JSON easier. We'll go ahead and save that. And now we can look a little more closely at the data in the JSON body that VAPI is sending. And right here at the top, you can see this tool calls. This is an array with one object, which is a tool call. If you look further down, you can see that the name is check orders. So this is it. This is our function called check orders. Here is our order number variable, 1977. Great. So what we want to do is pull out this order number from the JSON. So let's create a new chat. And then here, what we're going to do is we're going to share sampledata.json with Cursor. And we're also going to share server.js. And we're going to say to access the order number variable inside tool calls, please write a simple line to get that variable. And you can see Cursor knows that we're talking about server.js. So we'll go ahead and go back to that. Okay, so here it's giving us this order number variable, and it's pulling it from message.toolcalls, first tool call in the array, function arguments order number. That looks good. I'm going to go ahead and accept that. Let's just double check this. So it's in tool calls in the first tool call, index 0, and then it's in functions arguments order number. So let's see. Function arguments order number. Great, that looks good. Now the other thing that we're going to need is the tool call ID. When we send our response back to VAPI, we're going to need this tool call ID in order for VAPI to interpret the data. So why don't we prompt again and say, we also need tool call ID. How to store that in a variable. Share server.js. And okay, so it's giving us this tool call ID in body message tool calls 0 ID. Great. So let's just double check message tool calls 0 index ID. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. And so the next thing we want to do is send our response to VAPI. So we'll go ahead and create this response object. I'm not going to get into it now, but if you want to see how I know this, you can go to the VAPI documentation and look up custom tools, and you can read all about the formatting, the JSON, and how to send data back and forth to VAPI. And if you scroll down, you can see here the server response format. This is the format that VAPI needs in order to receive the data. So we'll do results, which is an array, object, tool call ID, and then the result, which is the order status in transit. So we've got this response, which is an array of results. And the first object in that array is the tool call, which is what we got here. That is the tool call ID. And remember, it comes from here. And then we've got the result. The result is where we put our variables. And in this case, we have the order status. For now, we're just going to say in transit. We're going to hard code that. So now that we've got the response ready to go, we can go ahead and drop that in here. And so all this is saying is that we're setting up our object first, and then we're going to send this response back to VAPI. So let's go ahead and give that a save. So let's go back over to VAPI, and we'll do another test call.
Hi, welcome to our shop. How can I help you today?
Can I check on an order?
Of course. Please provide me with your order number, and I'll check the status for you.
Yeah, the order is 1001.
One moment. Your order, 1001, is currently in transit. Let me know if you need further assistance.
Okay, great. It worked. So here we can see that the request came in. We've got all the JSON being logged. And then down here, we've got our order number, 1001, and we've got the tool call ID. So that looks great. Let's go back up here and we can comment this out for now because we don't need to see all this JSON anymore. And then the next thing that we're going to do is mock up a little bit of data so that we can have a couple different orders to check to make sure that we're looking it up based on the order number. So let's go over to our chat window and ask Cursor to do it. Let's say make an array of mock data with 3 orders. Each order should have an order number, order name, and an order status. And let's also say an order item. Okay, we can see here in server.js, we've got our mock orders. And let's see, that looks good. Go ahead and accept that. And the only thing I'm going to change is this order number to say 1001, 1002, 1003. We can see here we've got different items, coffee beans, headphones, and fitness tracker. Coffee beans is in transit. The order item is Arabica coffee. Now, I'm also going to change the name because I wanted that to be a human name. So we'll say John Johnson. Here we'll say Karen McCarrington. And here we'll say Billy Stevenson. Go ahead and save that. And the next thing we want to do is using the order number provided to look up that order and get the data associated with it. So we'll say from the order number, find the order in the array of mock data and get the order status. Okay, what do we got here? So find the order in the mock data. So we've got this variable order, and then we've got mock orders, which is our array of mock data. And we do mock orders find order by order dot order number equals order number. So basically it's saying we're going to take this order number and we're going to find the order that also has order number. If there is no order, we're going to respond with an error. Order not found. Okay, sounds good. So we can go ahead and accept that. And then here in our response, we want to do order status equals order dot order status. Great. And then I just want to console log here the order when it's found so we can see what is the data that it's pulling up. Let's go ahead and save that. can go back to Vappy and give it another call.
Hi, welcome to our shop. How can I help you today?
Yeah, can I check on an order, please?
Of course. Could you please provide me with your order number?
Yeah, it's number 1001.
Give me a moment. Thank you for your patience. Your order with number 1001 is currently in transit. Is there anything else I can assist you with?
Nope, that's it. Okay, looks good. So now what we want to do is add some of the other order data to the response. So we've already got order status. Let's go ahead and add order name, add order item, and might as well add order number while we're at it. Now, when the response comes back to Vappy, it's going to have all of the order information. And then back in Vappy, we can update our prompt. Just to be super clear with the prompt, we'll say the name on the order is order name. And these double brackets mean that this is a variable. And this is the same name as what's in the response. So order underscore name, order underscore name. The order status is order status. The order item is order item. Order number is order number. And we don't really need that one, but we'll go ahead and include it for now. And one thing I want to do is safeguard against checking the wrong order numbers, because sometimes the assistant will hear the order number wrong and they'll spend time checking on the wrong order. And so I just want to put a little instruction to confirm with the user that the order number that the assistant has is correct. When the order number has been provided, confirm with the user that you have the correct number. If they say no, ask them to provide the number until you confirm it's correct. When you repeat the number to the user, be sure to say and enunciate the number, enunciate each individual number clearly. For example, for order number 1001, say 1001. Say the number slowly so each number is clear. So we'll go ahead and publish that. And let's just say one last thing. Follow up by asking if the user needs help with anything else. Go ahead and publish that. And let's give it another call. Make sure our server is still running.
Hi, welcome to our shop. How can I help you today?
Can I check on an order, please?
Of course. Could you please provide me with your order number?
Yeah, the order is number 1002.
Just to confirm, is your order number 1002?
Yes.
Just a sec. Thank you for your patience. Here is the information about your order. Name on the order, Karen McCarrington. Order status, delivered. Order item, you saw Sony WH-1000 XM4 noise canceling. Headphones. Order number 1002. Is there anything else I can assist you with today?
Okay, great. So it works. The last thing I want to do is change the voice so it's not the default Vappy voice. So let's go here to the voice configuration and let's choose 11 Labs. 11 Labs is the voice provider and there are tons and tons of voices. I've gone ahead and cloned my own voice. And so I've got the voice ID here that we can use. And I will paste this voice ID in the description below so you can use this in your agent also. And let's go ahead and publish that. And now let's just give it one last call just to confirm that everything's working.
Hi, welcome to our shop. How can I help you today?
Hey, can I check on an order, please?
Of course. Could you please provide me with your order number?
Yeah, the order is 1001.
Thank you. Just to confirm, the order number you provided is 1001. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Give me a moment. Thank you for your patience. Here's the information about your order. Name on the order, John Johnson. Order status, in transit. Order item, Arabica. Coffee beans, 5 pounds bag. Order number 1001. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
Yeah, could I check one more order, please?
Of course. Please provide me with the order number you'd like to check.
The order is 1002.
Thank you. Just to confirm, the order number you provided is 1002. Is that correct?
Yeah.
One moment. Name on the order, Karen McCarrington. Order status delivered. Order item, Sony WF-1000 XM4 noise canceling headphones. Order number 1002. Is there anything else I can assist you with today?
No, that's it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. If you have any other questions in the future, feel free to reach out. Have a great day.
All right, that's it. You just built a real-time AI voice agent using Vappy, Node.js, and ngrok, and you did it all from scratch. And hopefully you learned some tips on how to vibe code in a way that keeps you in the driver's seat. If you've got questions or want help with your project, drop us a line and we would love to chat about how AI voice agents can help your business.